I've had my Bike Plus now for a few weeks and I just want to spend a bit more time with it before I do a full review and also some comparison videos between the two bikes. But there has been some surprising benefits with the Bike Plus, which I wasn't expecting, and I haven't seen them on other reviews either. So here they are. So the first benefit is for those people who move their bikes around. So I move my gym around regularly, and let me show you why it's much easier to reposition the Bike Plus than it is the bike. And this all comes down to the feet. So if you can see under there, you can see on the left and the right by the wheels, you've got 2 feet to level the bike, and it's the same at the back. Hello, dog. And then if we go to the Bike Plus, the standard bike, you can see that as well as those 2 feet, there's also a centre foot. Molly, you all right, kid? And this means when you're balancing the Bike Plus, it's a really straightforward process after you've moved it. If you're trying to level the bike, you've got 6 feet to kind of get level on whatever surface you're on, rather than 4. Next is the handlebar layout. So you've got several positions to put your hands when you're riding the bike. Now, this angle here is, I find, the most comfortable. However, this position, close together like a road bike, is actually quite uncomfortable on a Peloton bike. On the Bike Plus, you've still got all these different positions. However, this angled position, which, as I mentioned, I find the most comfortable, is much further apart. So this feels so much easier than the traditional bike. And this might be something that's just personal preference to me, but I do find it noticeably more comfortable. If you're enjoying this video, then as always, please hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, this channel's about laid back home fitness, then please subscribe. Next is auto follow. Now, I'm not going to go into much detail about auto follow. I'll do that in the proper review. But basically, you click the padlock here, and then it auto adjusts your resistance to within the range that the instructor tells you. Now, before I got the Peloton Plus bike, this wasn't something that I particularly interested in me. I had no problem just twisting the knob just to adjust the resistance. But what I found it does do, now if you're new to this, you will probably, and you're a man, you'll probably be rushing into your other half after every ride and just saying, look at me, I'm soaked, I'm never gonna get bored of this. But then after a few hundred rides, sometimes you drift. It just happens. You just phone a few workouts in, maybe 1 or 2 a week or 1 or 2 a month, and you just drift. Now with the auto follow, one of the biggest benefits I found so far is when the resistance auto changes, it just kind of just brings your attention back to the ride. A bit like if you've got adaptive cruise control and you're kind of supervising, and then your car suddenly slows down and you realise, wow, if that's brought my attention back, I'm glad the car was watching, because I perhaps wasn't, I was. The next one is auto calibration. So with the standard bike, it comes out the factory calibrated, and that's it, it's calibrated. Unless you get an engineer out or you try and calibrate it yourself, which Peloton recommend you don't do, that's how it's calibrated. With the Bike Plus, it has auto calibration, so it can adjust when needed, adjust itself when needed. A lot of people, and a lot of reviews I've seen, have said that when they've got their Peloton Bike Plus, they've actually found it harder to hit their normal levels than when they had the standard bike because of this auto calibration. However, in my case, I'm probably finding it about 5 to 10% easier to hit my levels on the Peloton Bike Plus than I did on the Peloton bike. I think maybe mine was calibrated a touch too hard out of the factory, and that's just how it is. Whereas if this bike needs to adjust itself, it will do. Lastly, and this is for those people who move their bikes around a bit. Now the Peloton bike does feel a little heavier to me anyway, and I think that's because the tablet is bigger and heavier, and it's got a subwoofer in, so maybe that adds to the weight, and it certainly does feel like it does. However, this one is easier to move, and let me show you why. On the Bike Plus here, you can see that these wheels, the wheel here is quite far forward of the foot, which means when you lift up at the back, there's not a lot of travel there until the wheel's on the floor and the foot's off the floor. On the standard bike here, you can see they're really close together, which means you have to really get the angle of the back of the bike up until this foot is clear and you're able to wheel the bike forward. And that means I have to lift the standard bike up all the way to here before it's on its wheels. Here we are. So it's on its wheels at this height. But with the Bike Plus, although it's heavier, you're on the wheels a lot lower. It also feels more balanced when you're moving it around as well. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have and you haven't hit the like button already, please do. It really helps the channel out. And until next time, see you soon.